So I've been in LA County Jail for about 4 months now. I'm playing dominoes with the homie. All I hear is walking. Every time you hear somebody scream that, you know the sheriff's finna walk in and do they walk. So they yell walking, and when the sheriffs come in, it's no male sheriffs, it's all female sheriffs. And all of them some pretty Mexican chicks. Now, if you ever been to jail before, you know one of the worst parts of jail is not being able to get no cat. After a while, it begins to the point where any woman look good to a nigga. Like Miss Jackson got them thick ass sideburns, but I hit right about now. So they get to walking through, doing they walking shit. Me and a homie, we on the bed playing dominoes, and I see her getting close. That's when out of nowhere, I'm like, that's when she stopped and she noticed the nigga. Like, she like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Asking like she really concerned and shit, right? That's when I'm like, she couldn't really hear me, so she like, huh? I'm like, I was a pussy. No, I'm fucking with y'all. I'm like, Miss Hernandez, I might need to go see mental health. She like, now what you need to go to mental health for? I'm like, yesterday morning, I just started hearing voices in my head and they won't stop. She looking at me crazy. That's when she like, what are the voices saying? I'm like, shit, I don't know, they in Spanish. I'm like, shit, they might be trying to teach me Spanish so me and you can communicate better. And that way when I'm out, I can take you out. That's when I told her like, nah, I'm just playing and shit. So anyways, they walk and they leave, right? And right after that, the new niggas come in. And I remember that day, everybody banged on everybody and nobody had no enemies and shit. So motherfuckers went back to resuming their program. But out of the new niggas that came in, it was like an average built black dude. So I remember like right after he came, I'm sitting on my bed minding my own business. And I just so happened to look up the aisle and everybody crowded around this black dude bunk. So I'm looking like, what the fuck going on? Like, what the fuck they crowded around a nigga bunk like that? That's when out of nowhere, the homie from Compton come to my bed. He like, success, bro, you gotta go talk to that nigga, man. He a real motherfucking nigga, man. He like, man, that nigga just told the homie that he found the lady unalived in the house. And the homie was like, oh, that's crazy. I found my grandma unalived in her house. So it turns out that all these niggas around this nigga bed asking him questions, thinking he's a fucking prophet or something. So as soon as they told me this shit, right, I immediately get annoyed. I'm like, man, are y'all fucking serious? Like, it's clear as day that this nigga's crazy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's a fucking J-Cat. So pretty much the way this nigga talked, it was impossible to have a real conversation with the dude. For example, if you said a sentence to him, and then that sentence, it had the word red, after that, every sentence that came out his mouth was associated with the word red. That's when that nigga like, man, you tripping, man. That nigga a real nigga. He like, man, that nigga the chosen one, man. Just go over there and talk to him and ask him something. I'm like, man, I'm not asking that nigga shit, man. Y'all tripping. Like, that nigga's crazy. That's when that nigga bail off and go back to the circle, right? And then like 20 minutes later, that nigga came back to me like, man, fuck that nigga. I'm like, what happened? Why is fuck that nigga now? It turns out that nigga said something bad about his hood and that shit got him mad. I'm like, shit, I thought he was the chosen one a minute ago. He say something about your bunk ass set and now you mad and shit. Now by this time, it's dark now. You still got niggas gathered around this dude like they had a campfire or something. By this time, I'm not the only one being annoyed by this shit. One of my other partners from Compton, he come to me and we get to chopping it up. He like, man, look at this shit, cuz. These niggas dumb as hell. I started laughing. I'm like, I know, man. These motherfuckers weird. Like, they really believe this nigga a prophet. Now, I'm gonna be real. I don't know who brought this shit up. At the time, I was kind of burnt, so it could have been me. But somebody was like, man, let's tie that nigga up and stick him under one of the bunks. You been to LA County Jail, you know niggas do that shit to niggas all the time. I done seen a few niggas get tied up. By this time, all the other races asleep. Because the way the Mexicans program, by a certain time, they couldn't talk or nothing. You feel me? They had to be in their bed, like, going to sleep. Blacks, we up all night talking, playing poker, and all type of shenanigans. That's when me and two niggas from Compton go right over to that nigga bed and snatched his ass up. Now, the whole time, we snatching him up, right? We trying not to be too loud because the other race is asleep. So we not trying to wake him up. We got the nigga on the floor, right? I got my hand around his neck, and I'm covering his mouth so he can't scream. The other homie, like, pretty much got his body and shit so he can't move. And then the third nigga is trying to tie him up, starting with his feet. So now we got him on the ground. He wiggling and shit, trying to get up out of this shit, right? But he really fight, trying to not get tied up to the point where the homie cannot get his feet tied light up. But for some reason, we could not get this nigga. And I was getting frustrated. So out of frustration, I said, fuck it. I just socked that nigga. Boom! That's when he let out a loud ass scream like, ah! Now, as soon as he screamed, all the other races like raised up to like look what's going on. Now, in the middle of all the other races getting up, he ended up slipping to the front and going to the door. Now, we all on our beds and shit, right? And niggas low-key tripping like, damn, man, he probably finna snitch on us. I was already thinking about it. I'm like, man, that nigga can't even form a goddamn statement. He gonna try to give a statement and the police gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, come on, man. So anyway, not 5 minutes after that nigga ran out, the lights cut on. And that's when a gang of sheriffs come in. Everybody sitting on their bed. Like, so they come down the road, you know what I'm saying? They check niggas' knuckles and shit, right? After they end up checking everybody's knuckles, they turned around and was like, hey, man, next time y'all get a J-Cat, can y'all just send them out so we can take them to blues and yellows instead of beating them up? He looked at the police like, man, we got you. Don't even trip. We got you. He like, all right, good looking out, man. And they left. Anyways, y'all follow my YouTube, West LA Success 3, and y'all like and follow and comment for more stories.